Yeah, I'm Nicolas Entrup. I'm here with the Migratory Wildlife Network and also represent a coalition of non-governmental organizations, including NRDC, Humane Society International, Pro-Wildlife, Ocean Care. So you see, we work closely together and coordinate efforts, which is a good thing.
Okay. Why are you here at this conference?
Well, you know, I think it's many people out there are very passionate about migratory species and their role they play, you know, for different reasons. Their role they play in the ecosystem, but also, you know, what they mean to them culturally, or maybe, you know, many of them also are of the belief they need very strict and strong protection. So we give a voice to these animals here and to the countries that make decisions during this week for the future of these animals.
Yeah, this conference is a very political event. On the civil society side, what is a more practical approach that you take, and how can you bring those two together?
Look, I would like to clarify that the interesting part, and sometimes forgotten, is that normally governments should represent the civil society because they are elected by their people. But you got a fair point. You know, the civil society, as it's the meaning in this context is, you know, non-governmental NGOs. And I think there are many roles to play for us. First of all, there is an enormous expertise within these NGOs, because it's not just about passion, it's about experience, it's about networking, it's about coordination, and we contribute a lot to the parties, to the secretariat. So I think working in partnership is a slogan very, you know, abused very often, but I think in that meaning, in that context, it's very true. So it's about working in partnership. And for example, the Migratory Wildlife Network has engaged in developing a very ambitious global action program for whales and dolphins around the world. It has engaged in supporting efforts, for example, by many scientists out there who ring the alarm bells of the future of polar bear, bringing to the Scientific Council proposals to list the polar bear in the near future here under this convention. So we contribute with science, with information, but also with passion to bring a little bit energy in the corridors and in the plenary.
Yes. How has the response been so far? How's your feeling of the atmosphere at this conference, and what would you like to achieve still?
I think what to me personally is very important is that, you know, with governments, for example, that you bring it down to the people actually engaged for governments, and there are many passionate people also there. They have their instructions, etc. But what we have achieved so far, I think, is that we try to force the countries to recognize that with all the budget and structural and technical discussions, it's about those guys we're here for, and that's our role. We need to remember them, what we're here for. And I hope that some of the outcomes at least are a bit ambitious, that brings a little bit of light to the end of the tunnel, because the situation is not really that good for those animals.
Okay.
Now, my call to action would be that we should remember that the host country, Norway, which really welcomed us in a very friendly and very open way, and I'm very appreciating the way people and the government has played here. And they are confronted in a region with a melting Arctic, and I really hope that the governments take on the responsibility that it's not just about the range states to the Arctic, it's about every country in the world contributing to change of our climate, and it's most dramatically seen in the Arctic. And the polar bear is a flagship species where, you know, there are lots of ambitious efforts by the Norwegian government. For example, they prohibit take. They have an enormous program, you know, of science as well as about ecological networks to protect migration routes, so that we should now go to action and encourage those recommendations. And this is really appreciated by the Norwegian government.